Are you a busy working mom and the only thing you have any desire for after ripping and running, work, kids, all of the things, you only desire to sleep? Maybe your husband's dropping hints or being quite angry and irritating about how you don't desire sex, you don't initiate sex, you are laying there like you don't care, hurry up and get it over with. I want to talk today about one of the American culture trends that is slowly suffocating marriages, and that is the lack of life community. I didn't really understand this or learn this until moving from sunny South Florida and its Caribbean culture to Atlanta and being in a position to live as neighbors with Indians and being able to observe their culture. In fact, during my legal profession, I've only handled two Indian divorces. I mean, out of 13 years of practicing divorce. And I think that for American culture, we have a lot to learn from Indians. In fact, Indians have the lowest divorce rate in the world. And here's the number one observation: you rarely see an Indian man or a woman walking alone. In fact, in our community, there's usually two men walking, maybe three. When we're shopping in Walmart, they are shopping in groups. The two families that are shopping together, slowly perusing the aisles in Costco, are blocking the aisle because there's just so many of them. And I found my favorite Indian restaurant in Atlanta because my husband noticed, hey, there's always like crowds of Indians going in and out of that restaurant. It must be good. You see, the social thread that I believe is the key to marriage success in India is social connection, community. And what has happened to many women in the busy working American structure, chasing the American dream, going for that American bag, is that work occupies more and more of our time and space. The kids have to be taken care of. And then by the time we get done with the commute, running the kids around, getting everyone fed and off to bed, there's nothing left. We're exhausted. And for women, when we don't have community connection, when we're not doing life with other women and their children, there is an emotional exhaustion on top of the physical exhaustion that just simply leaves no desire for anything but sleep. So, husbands, if you were wondering, your wife is pouring the best of herself into everyone else. It feels like you're last on her list. Well, if she's working, running a business, and she's managing many of the logistics with the children, then this could be one of the contributing causes to why she has little or no desire for sex. I had this conversation once with a technician from India for one of my apps we were working on. And at the end of our video call, he kind of asked me, he was like, is it true that so many people get divorced in America? And I'm like, yeah, unfortunately, yeah, it is true. And he was like, man, that sounds horrible. And I told him, I said, yeah, in fact, I'm beginning to notice that we are getting more calls from Indians considering divorces. Suffice to say, I don't think he's planning on bringing his family to the United States. There's something in the water here. And people are isolated, people are alone, people are busy, people are pressured, and people are less connected in the real world. In fact, I was that very same busy working young professional. I was learning the ropes of litigation. I was raising a very, very young child. my family lives in another state, so I didn't have the same support network I grew up in, where we always had an auntie's house and auntie hands to grab babies and help share the load. No, that was not my life when I began my legal career here in Atlanta. And I was unaware of how that disconnect was slowly eroding away at my soul. And because I wasn't aware that it was loss of community connection, then I began seeing everything that was wrong with the way that I felt as being my husband's fault. He was the problem. He was the source of all of my misery. I began to hone in on and really hyper focus and magnify everything that was wrong with him, until I made the decision to go on an intentional quest for community with other women, and ultimately did find a safe community where I could be open and honest about what I was going through. And the other women in that community can confront me when I was in my feelings, comfort me when I was ready to quit, and laugh with me rather than laughing me at scorn as I was navigating stormy seasons of life, love, and marriage. And what I imagine is happening in these Indian huddles that I see here in the perimeter, I imagine that the ladies group, they're talking about how difficult it is dealing with their men and how overbearing they can be, right? And I imagine that the men are huddled together talking about how crazy their wives are and how much they don't understand why she's angry. And so in these huddles, what I perceive is the sharing and the support that gives each one of these men and women strength to get through the rough patches and stay married. And I honestly, with everything in me, I believe that that is the secret sauce to Indian marriage success. Now, I do realize that there's a two-edged sword to it. Again, I have consulted a number of Indians struggling in their marriage. And I do understand, like, the flip side of that is everybody's all up in your business. You don't have any personal space. And so there's an extreme part of that as well. But this conversation is about American marriages needing a little bit more of what the Indians have, because Americans are very isolated, Americans are very individualistic, and American marriages are suffocating under the isolation. So, if you are a woman who has not been in community, especially if your children are like between the ages of 2 and 3, this is when you are tired for real. Like, you don't want to have sex. Those kids are wearing you out. You're tired and you're doing everything. You're carrying the world on your shoulder. I just want you to know that you're not by yourself. You're not crazy. And your husband isn't a jerk. It's just that being connected in community with other women has a way of energizing the soul. And we just simply were not created to do life alone. We were created to live in community. So if you're looking for a transitional community, while you're looking for human interaction in person where you can hug somebody, touch somebody, smell another human being, then here at Judge Shar, we are that bridge between your feeling like you're by yourself, sometimes feeling like you're the bad guy, not sure why you're feeling how you're feeling. Follow us, share, like, and start looking for a place in person where you can do life with other moms. Invite hubby in to help with the logistics. You need a break. You need some girl time. You need connection. And oftentimes, unless there's some other kind of medical stuff going on, and I'm not here to address anything medical, I'm here to address the soul, uh, your desire is very likely to return to you. once you feed your soul. Be blessed and encouraged.